Today we're answering one of the most scientifically horrifying and unnecessarily exciting questions ever imagined. What would happen if the moon crashed into Earth? No, it's not a scene from a disaster movie. It's a terrifying cosmic possibility. One that starts slow, gets weird, and then becomes so dramatic, you might want to move to another planet if it weren't also doomed. So let's break it down step by step. But first, let's ask, the Earth is pulling on the moon. Always. With a gravitational grip so strong that it tugs on entire oceans. So why hasn't the moon just fallen into us like a dropped bowling ball? Well, there's no mysterious counterforce at play. It's just motion. The moon is moving sideways at a speed of 3,600 kilometers per hour, fast enough to keep missing us as it falls. That's called an orbit. You see a version of this every day. Throw a ball sideways, it arcs toward the ground. Throw it really hard, fast enough to match the curve of Earth, and boom, you've got an orbit. Just don't try this with your neighbor's dog. Now the moon is basically falling sideways endlessly. It orbits the Earth every 27.3 days, staying just far enough and just fast enough to avoid spiraling down. So, what would it take to make the moon stop orbiting and start diving straight into us? Let's find out. Physics makes it really hard to change the moon's orbit. You'd need an unfathomable force like igniting 1 trillion nuclear bombs or building rocket engines across the entire moon's surface, and even then, you'd barely nudge it. So instead, let's skip the hassle and just cast a magic spell. Let's say, with a wave of a wand, we reduce the moon's sideways velocity just enough so it starts spiraling slowly toward Earth. For dramatic purposes, and because we love monthly calendars, let's say the impact will happen exactly 1 year from now. So what happens next? At first, nothing feels different. The moon looks a bit brighter, a bit larger in the sky. A few astrophysicists raise their eyebrows, but most people, they go on with their lives. The first real change begins with the tides. Tides are caused by the gravitational tug-of-war between the Earth and the moon. As the moon gets closer, that tug gets stronger. By the end of the first month, the moon has covered half the distance between its normal orbit and Earth. The ocean tides, once gentle 50-centimeter ripples, are now 4-meter waves. Coastal cities begin to flood at high tide. Water creeps further inland each day. The morning news is no longer about politics or sports. It's about whether your city is next to be swallowed by the sea. By the second month, the moon has closed in even more 2/3 of the way home. Tides now reach 10 meters high. And that's just the beginning. Major coastal cities are drowning. 1 billion people, roughly 1 in 8 humans, are displaced. Ports are shut down. Cargo ships have nowhere to dock. Global shipping collapses. The supply chain follows. Food shortages spread. Fuel rationing begins. And to make matters worse, 95% of the global internet relies on undersea cables. While the cables themselves are fine, their coastal landing stations? Not so much. Welcome to offline mode forever. Meanwhile, tidal waves push salt water into rivers, contaminating drinking water and killing crops. People flee inland only to find that no place is safe. 3 months in, the moon is now so close that it begins messing with our satellites. Its gravitational influence warps their orbits, drains their fuel, and sends them spiraling. GPS, weather forecasts, global communications,
Goodbye!
Gone. The tides, now rising 30 meters high, become devastating walls of water. Entire countries find their coastlines erased. Skyscrapers buckle. Farmland disappears. What little is left of civilization is now teetering on the edge. And this is still just the warm-up. By month 5, the oceans can no longer keep up with the moon's pull. They've maxed out their depth on average 3 kilometers deep, and now the planet itself starts to respond. The Earth begins to bulge, not with water, but with rock. The crust bends and warps under the stress. Massive pressure builds as quintillions of tons of seawater slosh on tectonic plates like an angry toddler in a bathtub. Earthquakes erupt violent, unpredictable, unstoppable. Volcanoes awaken in Chile, Iceland, Indonesia, Yellowstone, everywhere. Some eruptions are so powerful they inject aerosols into the stratosphere, dimming the sun and shifting the climate. The moon, still calmly approaching, now shines like twilight even at night. It looms larger than ever before, an ominous silver coin watching from the sky. At the halfway mark of our lunar death spiral, something surreal happens. The moon reaches geosynchronous orbit about 36,000 kilometers from Earth. It now hovers motionless over a single point on the surface, always watching. Only one side of the Earth sees it. The other half, left in darkness. The tides stop moving. One half of the planet is permanently flooded, the other half drained and dry like a giant cosmic prank. But gravity isn't done yet. On the moon's side, Earth's gravity is stronger now than the moon's own. The moon begins to deform, stretching into an egg, pulled toward Earth like putty. Moonquakes begin, rumbling deep inside its core. The stage is almost set for the final act. By month 8, the world is in full-blown catastrophe mode. The moon, now orbiting faster than Earth rotates, causes the tides to reverse direction. Every few hours, the seas rush violently in the opposite way, smashing into new territories, washing over cities long thought safe. Massive earthquakes and volcanic eruptions dominate every continent. The Earth's crust is warping, cracking, and spewing fire like it's auditioning for the apocalypse. Volcanic ash and aerosols shoot into the sky, forming thick, reflective clouds in the stratosphere. Sunlight dims, days become rust-colored, and the world begins to freeze. Welcome to nuclear winter, but powered by lava. Even the most resilient plants start to die. Photosynthesis grinds to a halt. The food chain collapses. Those who survived flooding now face starvation, disease, and freezing nights in July. And through it all, the moon, no longer a friendly neighbor, has become a monstrous intruder. Now visibly egg-shaped, it hangs low in the sky, cracked, trembling, leaking dust into space. 12 months after our magical nudge, the moon reaches the Roche limit, the point where Earth's gravity becomes stronger than the moon's own structural cohesion. Translation? The moon shatters. Its crust splits. Its core fractures. It becomes a giant, cascading avalanche of rock, ice, and dust. Chunks of lunar surface begin falling toward Earth like meteors. But most of it doesn't hit us directly. Instead, the moon disintegrates into a massive ring system around Earth, a glowing, chaotic halo of debris stretching tens of thousands of kilometers across. It's breathtaking. It's majestic. It's the end of the nightmare, sort of. Without the moon, the apocalyptic forces begin to subside. No more tidal megawaves. No more relentless lunar gravity pulling Earth apart. The oceans slowly recede, returning to what's left of the coastlines. Survivors, those lucky enough to have lived in bunkers, submarines, or on mountaintops, begin to emerge. Above them, an alien sky. Massive arches of shimmering rock now encircle the planet. The rings reflect sunlight with an eerie brilliance, brighter than a full moon, glowing both day and night. Every so often, showers of moon dust streak through the sky like shooting stars, but don't get too comfortable. The ring system isn't just pretty, it's dangerous. If too much lunar debris falls into the atmosphere, friction could heat the skies, potentially boiling the oceans. Or worse, the rings could block out sunlight entirely. Combined with all the volcanic ash still floating around, this could trigger a runaway ice age, freezing most of Earth's surface solid. Mass extinctions could follow. Crops would fail. And the last few pockets of humanity might find themselves in an eternal winter, living underground, huddled around geothermal vents, telling stories about the time the sky used to have just one moon. Eventually, whether in decades or millennia, humanity may rise again. Maybe from a mountaintop monastery. Maybe from a submarine base deep in the ocean. Maybe from an orbital colony that watched the whole thing unfold from space. Whatever the case, our descendants will look up and see rings in the sky. They won't remember a time when there was just a single glowing circle in the night. To them, the rings are ancient, mystical, and beautiful. And maybe, just maybe, they'll learn from our mistakes. They'll study orbital mechanics better. They'll put fewer rocket engines on celestial objects. and they'll keep their magical lunar spellbooks far, far away from Earth.